Hey there. So today we'll be talking about homophobia and discrimination. My name is Leonie Brown and I'll go first. So first off, we have homosexuality, a basic definition. On a very simplistic level, it refers to a person who is attracted primarily to people of the same gender to satisfy sexual and emotional needs. Now this is a very simple definition and it's a little bit problematic, and we'll talk a little bit more about that later. In reality, homosexuality is a very complex concept, and that is seen through the theories that psychologists and others and researchers have come up with that have been based on patterns of behavior but tend to be problematic because of how simplistic and ethnocentrically biased they tend to be. It comes from the Greek root word homo, meaning the same, but this term homosexual tends to have demeaning implications because of the direct sexual connotations, which is why many people prefer gay, lesbian, or no label at all. So, what is homophobia? A basic definition is the extreme and irrational fear and hatred of gay and lesbian people. It's important to remember that this is a perspective that is taught, just like we talked about with the KKK. It's something that has to do directly with people's environment and what they're taught as they're young. And these feelings of fear and hatred, they tend to warp a person's perception of other people. Homophobia, the origin of it is unknown, but some people speculate that it has to do with people attempting to deny homosexuality in themselves. And often people who are taught homophobia unfortunately believe that being gay or lesbian is a mental disease. It actually wasn't removed from the list of mental illnesses until 1974, so that's a prevalent idea that people are still overcoming.
Hi, I'm Noah. I'm a political science major and I'm a senior. And I feel like homophobia has just made me afraid to act out in more feminine ways and kind of just act like a traditional male would. And that's kind of stopped me from pursuing things I've always liked and being honest about people of my interests. So it's kind of just a way I've indirectly avoided having conversations. For like a simple term, just a way to think about it, when I'm around, I guess, other men, I deepen my voice just to kind of prove I'm masculine enough. And I don't know if that's directly because of homophobia, but just because of stereotypes and the fact that we're supposed to be masculine has kind of made me afraid to show my true self, which I would say isn't always masculine.
And the reason that it's important to focus on the person is because a person is so much more than just their sexual orientation, as is pictured here. On the left, you have more of a homophobic perception of a person, which is, oh, they're homosexual and that's all that they are. When in reality, a person is so much more. You know, they have their family life and their work life and their goals and their spirituality and also their sexual orientation. It's just a part of who they are.
Yeah, so I think there's like stereotypes that gay people are always dating. Especially when I came out, everyone thought I'm coming out just so then I can be in a relationship. But there's more to the being gay and coming out than that. It's just being yourself, and when you accept a label that really scared you your whole life, it's very freeing to just let everyone know that you're fine with that label.
This led to different models for how we can look at sexual orientation. On the left, you still have the homophobic perspective, which is more all or nothing, black and white, right? You're either heterosexual or homosexual. But then on the right, on the top right, you have Kinsey's 6-point scale, which bases it off of experience. On the left, you have more heterosexual, and on the right, more homosexual. And in the middle would be what you might refer to as bisexual. But again, this is still not a very accurate representation. This is Storm's model on the bottom here, which has to do based off of interest in homoeroticism or heteroeroticism. The higher you go on the arrow, the more of an interest level you have in that. So that's why you have this bottom left category of asexuals, which there's no interest whatsoever.
Do you think sexual orientation is a spectrum? And I definitely believe that, because for me personally, I don't feel like I fall in a specific category. Like, if you want to like really go deep into like the LGBTQ lore, for lack of a better term, with all of their different organizational things to try to help people to understand themselves better. Like, I guess the closest that I would get to is like biromantic gray sexual, which is really long and complicated. But the reason why I feel like a lot of these orientations are so long and complicated is that like sexual orientation is like a gradient. It's not even just like a linear line. It's not like you just like girls or you just like boys or like the same gender or different. Like there's also bi and there's pan and there's A, which I fall under the A spectrum of like, I'm not interested. It's a spectrum because people experience this type of like emotion, this feeling completely differently, and it depends from person to person. And for me personally, it's kind of hard to be kind of like in this awkward gray area that like no one really understands fully except for me and Jesus.
But all of these, even with the idea that it's a spectrum, these models can be kind of problematic because you're putting people in boxes, and that can lead to stereotypes. So some of the primary stereotypes are the queen of the butch, right? That gay men are very feminine, lesbians are masculine. And obviously this is not the case all around. And then there's also the stereotype that they're potential child molesters. But none of this is true, of course. Or they're just stereotypes. You don't have to take that and think of that as all across the board. Because we need to remember that people are individuals. Gender identity is not the same thing as sexual orientation. So male and female roles aren't necessarily going to automatically be switched or flipped depending on one's sexual orientation. And it's actually statistically proven that heterosexual men are 11 times more likely to be child molesters than gay men.
I don't feel like people have treated me super differently, but I felt super different because, again, I feel like I don't fall under any specific umbrella or category really nicely, specifically with like asexuality, so not being sexual at all or having an interest. Like there's a lot of like, oh, you're a robot, or oh, you like one of the stereotypes is like, oh, you like cake more than sex, and that's like a joke within like the community and whatnot. But like it also sometimes hurts because everyone expects that from people. If you're like everyone is like, oh, you were gonna have sexual attraction, and like throughout high school I felt like I was broken because I never did.
I'm Brandon. I'm a junior studying elementary education. Yeah, I think it's something that is really easily just overlooked, right? It's like, well, I can date, so that means everyone else can date, where there's a lot of people in different situations where they can't. It is very hard and kind of draining emotionally to see everyone else around me just dating and having fun and, you know, doing the things that they should be doing at this stage of life, and it's kind of hard when we're just kind of sitting here like, well, that can't be us.
I know a lot of people on various parts of the spectrum, and they're just all just people. They're all just people.
Homophobia can be presented in many different forms, but the most common are the use of derogatory names, telling queer jokes. Another is to bar gay people from housing, employment, or social opportunities. Verbal abuse and physical abuse are also examples.
Hi, my name's Raquel. I don't believe that anybody should be discriminated on based off of their sexual or gender orientation. I think that it counts as a human right to be treated like a human being as far as employment opportunities go and as far as community involvement goes. It is unfortunate that there are still cultural limitations, I guess, to that individuals hold that make them think that because they disagree with how somebody lives their life, or because they have a religious belief that makes them think that it's something that people can control or can change. I think that we still see discrimination because of that. I see more discrimination in the personal lives of members who believe, or even just Christians who believe, that because homosexual relationships are not favored in the eyes of God, that means that the homosexual individuals themselves are bad or in sin. And I believe that regardless of how people are living, they should be treated equally. People should be treated as any other person, and should have just as many rights to run for office and anything like that.
Hello everyone, my name is Oliva and I am from Fiji. So first of all, being gay is not a disease. It's nothing to be afraid of or nothing to be shy about, because it is what it is and you are born that way. I have never really faced or experienced any harsh issue at work for being gay. I've been accepted throughout the places and everywhere I've worked and been. I know that there are other situations where gay people are embarrassed or told off, teased by people at their workplaces, but for me, I've never experienced that. So I've had a really, really good experience. Being part of the LGBTQ community has nothing to do with your ability and your capability to be able to perform work in any company or in any association.
All right, so I was in charge of the homophobia and discrimination in the military part of our presentation, and I found that 59% of respondents did not feel comfortable being out at work, either because of career repercussions or because of the burden of being a token responsible for educating their peers. So it's kind of like you're in the military and it's either you're part of it's either you're gay or lesbian or a bisexual. You still can't express who you are because people just get tired of telling people who they are or what they are.
Hello, my name's Diana and I am currently in the Army and I am a part of the LGBTQ community. My experience with being in the community while working in the workforce has been a really good experience from beginning to end. From the start, I was nervous to come in because I knew at the time people thought it was weird or it was different, so I was nervous at first, but coming in, I met a lot of great people, amazing people. I met new friends, I met supervisors, everything. Everyone is just so supportive and respectful. They don't care. It's not that they don't care, but they accept you for you. So it was really amazing to know that you were not looked down upon. And all throughout my journey, I had amazing people that respected me and supported me. So it's honestly what kept me going through the whole thing, because I knew I always had people supporting me and respecting me.
I'll be talking about the legal discrimination with marriage with same-sex marriage. As of June 2013, the U.S. Supreme Court ruled that same-sex marriage must be accepted by federal government, which means couples should receive all federal benefits available to heterosexuals. This didn't force the states to accept gay marriage, though. Currently 33 states ban same-sex marriage, and 23 through their state constitution, which means when you do it through your constitution, it's actually a lot harder for legislation to be changed about that. And if they don't get married, they have two choices to do. They can have a civil union, which is legally recognized and is similar to marriage. Unless they move to another state, it might be void. Includes rights such as child custody, probate court, workers' compensation, and family leave benefits. But with this, they don't have rights as Social Security survivor and spousal benefits, unlimited exemptions from federal gifts and estates, taxes on transfers to a spouse, the right not to testify against one spouse in court, and unpaid leave to care for an ill spouse. The other thing that they can do if they don't get a legalized marriage is domestic partnership, which is a legal agreement under which two people live together to be permanent and share domestic life together. So along with marriage, though, without being civilly married, and they do choose to do one of these two options because their state doesn't allow legal marriage, there's some disadvantages for it. And Greenberg stated 5 disadvantages for same-sex couples denied legal marriage. And those 5 are no income tax benefits, difficulty adopting children, have to pay federal state taxes, denied employee benefits, no decision-making rights when the partners are seriously ill.
Hi, I'm Shelby. I'm Nina. We've been married a little over 2 years now. For our marriage experience, as far as getting legal, it wasn't too bad. It was pretty easy. We were getting married in Mexico, though, so we ended up having to get married legally in the United States prior to going because we knew same-sex marriage was not allowed there, so it wouldn't be legal. So I think compared to a lot of people, our process was a lot easier, especially considering a few years back we wouldn't have been able to get married.
Our family and friends, didn't treat us any differently, and we didn't have like any negative feelings or anything like that. We never felt like out of place or left out. It just felt normal. So I feel like we got lucky in that aspect.
Hi. So I only have 2 minutes for my friend Lauricia, and she asked me to help you understand what it was like for me as a Pacific Islander to come out as homosexual. First of all, coming out for me was a bit messy. You know how sometimes we're so afraid, and most of that fear is because what's within us, because of the unknown, and because of the unknown we tend to overthink a lot of things. That's how it was probably for me. I thought I was going to be hated and this and that and whatnot. Although I do receive negative comments or eyeballing from family members and from even from gay people, like the gay community itself can be very, very discriminating. And also the friends that I've lost as well while coming out, it was all a big process that taught me to be able to become a stronger individual. Now, the whole journey wasn't only about me being gay, it was also about me being able to find myself, being able to be someone with loving my own self. And because of that, because I was able to find my own self, because I was able to love my own self and have the right people around me, which does happen when you are true and honest, you get true and honest people in your circle. And that's what happened with me. So now, before I thought I lived a pretend life, and now that I don't, I have genuine people, genuine life, and I have a genuine smile and happiness. It's quite nice to be able to be free of the burden of societal norms or religious norms or norms that you might think that they exist outside, but that you don't know. All in all, it does give you a good character. It does build your faith in yourself. It does give you a better belief in God and understanding of how much He loves you as well.